96.9 The Eagle, Jacksonville's classic hits. Good afternoon, guys. You're here with Tank, and we got a big show coming to the Florida Theater on August 23rd. Starship featuring Mickey Thomas. It's going to be awesome, and we are lucky because we get to have Mickey Thomas on the phone with us right now. How you doing, Mickey?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Man, I can't complain. The summer is hot, but it's been a good one so far.
Yeah,
So-
it's been hot everywhere, but I live right by Palm Springs, California, so I'm obviously used to the heat because it's typically 110 degrees on a summer day here.
Yeah,
But,
you guys got that
but a lot
dry
of places
heat.
it is dry. I always say, people say that, yeah, but it's a dry heat. I go, yeah, well, so is my oven. It's still hot.
Not wrong. Not wrong. A little convection city out there.
Yeah.
You're coming to town, and I honestly, and I feel kind of embarrassed because I didn't know this. I didn't know that you sang for Elvin Bishop. I didn't know that until I started researching for the interview. That's crazy.
Yeah, I spent 3 years with the Elvin Bishop Band, recording and touring, and obviously I sang "Fooled Around and Fell in Love" way back in 1976, and I'm still. A lot of times people are still surprised, when I go into that song, because I do it every night in the live show, and people are still surprised to find out that, oh, he's the guy who sang that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting thing, and to see that you go from to watch you guys evolve. Like, the evolution to me is like one of the most fascinating things about your career, because you guys really embraced the electronic stuff in the 80s.
Yeah, I've had, it's been a real interesting career for me. Like you said, starting out with the Elvin Bishop Band, very blues, R&B, roots-oriented music, and then eventually, segueing into the Jefferson Starship, more of a classic rock, harder edge. And then in the mid-'80s, when we did consciously reinvent ourselves and moved into the digital age, with Knee Deep in the Hoopla. So it's been very interesting. I've always been, open to like exploring different musical styles and different ways of making music, different, processes of recording. And I've just been very fortunate that when I have tried different things, it's usually worked out pretty well for me one way or another.
Now, I did read that you grew up as a Beatles fan, like everybody did.
Yeah.
As an artist, do you ever look to your contemporaries and become fans of them as well?
Oh yeah. A lot of my contemporaries, like obviously I love Peter Gabriel is one of my favorite artists. David Bowie, I miss him a lot. I like a lot of newer bands too. Well, they're still newer bands to me, but like a lot of bands from the 90s and the 2000s, like, Muse and Collective Soul and Oasis and all those kind of bands. I dig all that stuff.
I was kind of wondered how you guys as musicians, how you view that as like from a strictly fan perspective, or do you kind of deconstruct it as a musician?
Probably more of a fan perspective. Every now and then, I'll hear something and I'll want to kind of analyze it. Like you said, deconstruct it, figure out, well, how did they do that? What are they using there? What's that instrument? Stuff like that. But generally speaking, when I'm listening to the bands that I really like, I just want to be entertained like everybody else,
Sure.
Just kind of get lost in the music.
Do you have a favorite band right now? Or is there somebody that you're just like, wow, I'm really digging this right now?
My favorite band is Collective Soul.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. They're from Georgia, just like you.
Yeah. And we've gotten to be, they're probably one of the reasons that they're my favorite band is because we've gotten to be really good friends along the way. The fact that we were all from Georgia is what kind of opened the door to our friendship, to developing a friendship. And I've gotten really, really close to those guys. And anytime I get a chance, if they're close by or if I'm not working, I'll always go and see them and hang out and usually get up and sit in with them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I bet that's got to be a huge thing for them. I'm sure that they're big fans of you as well.
It's a mutual admiration society.
I love that. I love to hear that.
Yeah,
I was excited because Florida Theater is, I mean, it's probably our finest venue in the city, especially like looking.
yeah,
And someone like you who's been on tour for, what have you been touring now for 50, 55 years, something like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
go ahead, I'm
And
so
I've
sorry.
never been to the Florida Theater.
That's what I
You
was
know,
just getting ready to ask.
I know. So I'm really looking forward to that. Because I've heard great things about it. I know it's beautiful, it's historical, and um, it's going to be a big night for me. My good friend John Cafferty is going to be on the bill with us. JC and I go way back, and I consider him a very good friend. And his band's, high energy and a lot of fun. So, and I'm going to have a lot of family coming down from South Georgia, so it's going to
Nice.
be a special night. Yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. The thing is like I kind of forgot that John Cafferty was coming as well. So that's like a big night of
Yeah.
rock and roll. You know what I mean? That's going to be a great show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as I mentioned, I performed many times with JC over the years, and we're good friends. And it's going to be a family affair.
Do you have places, venues, cities that stick out in your mind that you circle on the calendar? I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to get there.
Uh, New Orleans jumps to mind.
Hmm.
That's always a fun place. I love the city, and that's always a fun place to play. Great fans. The culture there is awesome with the music and the food. And I love New Orleans. I love San Francisco is always great. New York City, of course. We just got back from 3.5 weeks in Europe, so that was a
Ooh,
lot of fun.
nice.
Yeah.
They're hit with a heat wave right now as well, but they don't have air conditioning anywhere.
Well, I know. We were in a couple of smaller towns that we played at in right outside of Munich, and you're right. They didn't have any air conditioning in the hotel because they're not used to the
Sure.
heat they were having. It was like 90 degrees in Munich, and they were like sweltering. So I was used to it.
Yeah, right. You got that Georgia blood, you know?
Yeah,
That's
growing up in South Georgia, with not just the heat, but the humidity, steam world.
yeah.
And now, like I said, I live by Palm Springs now, and it's hot here too. But so I guess I love the heat. My wife says I'm a lizard. So
My wife says way meaner things about me, so that's good for you.
yeah,
I was thinking about the other day, the song "We Built This City." It gets a lot of
yeah,
flack. You know what I mean? A lot of people,
yeah,
and I don't understand it because everybody knows the song, everybody loves to
yeah,
sing it, and it's a fun tune. Like I don't understand
yeah.
the hate.
Um, I guess I kind of can understand it, but I don't personally feel it or experience it because, as you said, at our shows, that's the most popular song that we play in our set. Everybody responds to it. That's the song that gets people on their feet more than any other song. So all we see is the love, really, for the song. But of course, I'm aware of the negativity that has surrounded it. I read about it, I hear about it, and I kind of get it because it's kind of a bandwagon thing, a snowball effect. When Blender magazine was the first one to come along with that list of worst songs ever or whatever, and when that kind of started a whole chain reaction of all these different publications then wanting to compile their list of the worst this and the worst that, and which is really kind of a very negative way of looking at things.
Such a downer.
But like I said, it just kind of snowballed, and a lot of people picked up on it. But and I also think that it was kind of Built the City was in a way the poster child for some things that were happening in music in the mid 80s that maybe a lot of people didn't like, that transition from the analog world into the digital world, and just a whole new different sound and new ways of making music. And, it just wasn't for everyone. and built this city was very representative, I think, of that new age in music that a lot of people didn't particularly care for. But you know, the negativity really didn't start until about 15 years after the song came out. You know, it came out in '85, and all the reviews were positive when it came out. And then around 2000 or 1999, whenever it was, when Blender came out with that thing, it started that whole different trend of the way the song was perceived. But again, when we play it live, all we see is the love, man. You know.
No, yeah, I feel you. Like you said, when it came out, you know, I grew up in the '80s, so that song was kind of ubiquitous, and I never was like, oh, not this song. I was ready to dance.
Right.
I was singing along with it. I was partying. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a feel good song. So to find a reason to hate something that makes people feel good, I mean, that says a lot more about the people who do that than the people who like it, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's really like two songs in one.
Yeah.
You know, there's that really anthemic, feel good, sing along,
Mm-hmm.
you know, get up chorus. We built the city. But there's also, when you delve into the verses, you know, there's a darker side to it. You know, there's a kind of a deeper, darker element going on in the song. You know, it's addressing a lot of issues, a lot of different things. And even though it was, you know, 40 years ago when we recorded it, sometimes I'll sing a song in the verse, a lyric in the verse, and it will all of a sudden it'll have a fresh, different meaning for me, based on what might be happening in the world at that point in time. You know, and I love that about the song. And you know, Bernie Taupin wrote the words.
Oh, wow.
So he's obviously a great poet.
Yeah, sure.
And yes, so you know, so he has multiple meanings, you know, to the words, and they're very interpretive. So the song is always kind of evolving for me lyrically.
I think I mean, to me, that's the mark of a great song, and how it affects people differently, and you know, stands the test of time. Of, you know, 40 years ago, the world was different, but is it really? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Everything old is new again.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes we look at the world today and we think we've made a lot of progress, you know, and I guess in some ways we have, but then it feels like, well, have we really? I mean, sometimes it looks like we're going backwards in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
Devolving in a way.
That's exactly
but,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the thing that used to connect us, music, is a good example of like how now everything is so tribal in music. Everything is so camp based. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, this is terrible. This is great. It's like, just like what you like. What's the problem with that?
Everything is polarizing.
Yes.
Today. You know, it's like no matter what it is, it's got to all of a sudden take over some kind of a political overtone or something, which is just ridiculous. You know, I tell people that was my favorite part about music in the '80s, because the real popular radio stations in the '80s, what we call CHR radio, contemporary hits radio. I mean, you turn on your favorite radio station in 1985, and you're going to hear Whitesnake, Thompson Twins, Madonna, Guns N' Roses, Starship, Peter Gabriel, every kind of music, Boy George, back to back to back to back. There was no polarization. Everybody was welcome to the party, and everybody liked all different kinds of music. And now, like you said, it's like every single genre's got to have its own chart.
No, right. And they really
ridiculous.
like, you know, compartmentalize it down to the, you know, to the singular granular thing, and it's just so unnecessary, because music is music and it means something different to every person.
Absolutely. I hope we never lose that.
I hope so too. And I think you know, a concert is a great example of that. You go there, you see just such a cross section of different people. You know, I mean, it's crazy because, you know, you're in a place playing music in Germany, and maybe some of your audience can't even speak the language, and they're singing your song. That's a unifier. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, it is. You know, we get that a lot. You know, we love to play like in Latin America, you know, Mexico and Central America and the Caribbean, because the fans are all so passionate, And you're right. They don't necessarily have to understand the words to get the meaning and the feeling of the song. And that's, again, like you said, that's one of the magical things about music. Music takes up where words leave off, right?
That's absolutely, yeah, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to put it, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you can really
Yeah.
you can connect with people with music in a way you can't connect with them with anything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a power that you guys have as well to bring that to people. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that, somebody like me, like a nobody from Kansas City, who lives in Jacksonville now, gets to talk to a guy that had like an influence on his life growing up. You know what I mean? And I get to talk to you,
Yeah.
and on the 23rd, I get to go watch you in concert. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing,
Life is wild.
isn't
It
it?
really is. Yeah. And sometimes I have to kind of pinch myself, I stop and think about, all the people that I've met along the way, people I've come in contact with, all of these really special, talented, unique people. And sometimes I forget. And, I'll start to tell my wife a story about something, and she'll go, "You never told me that before. I didn't know you knew that person." And I go, "Well, I just happen to remember it and think about it because there's been so many magical moments and magical people that we are working on a documentary of my life, though. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
so yeah, because it has been I think it's been a very interesting path for me musically, kind of a unique path, not the same way that everybody has, carved out their careers in music. I've had some interesting twists and turns along the way. Not too many people can say they shared the stage with Elvin Bishop and Grace Slick. So
That's a fact. That's a fact right there.
yeah.
That's amazing. I would love to see that, man. It's so interesting to that journey to go through from, starting in garages and things like that to
Yeah.
moving up. I mean, that's got to be like, as a kid, how do you know that you can sing when you're young, or is that just like something that it took people convincing you of?
I wasn't very good when I was young.
Uh-huh.
For me, I just wanted to kind of, just emulate my idols. The Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, the Byrds, all those bands, and just kind of like pretend that you were them, more or less.
Right.
And then when I was about 22 years old, I met a gospel singer named Gideon Daniels, and he's the person who really taught me how to sing, became my mentor, and having that experience with him as a gospel singer too helped me to form something of a unique style. I think when I was able to apply that to, blues and R&B and rock music.
And they all kind of live together in your style. That's how I
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, when I grew up listening to a lot of the great soul singers in the 60s that I really loved, the Otis and Wilson Pickett, Sam and Dave, Jackie Wilson, Aretha, all those people. After I met Gideon, then I realized, like, oh, now I know where they all got it from. They got it from the church, and he taught me that, the kind of the essence of it, where it all starts, what real soul meant.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an amazing story. I didn't know that, and man, I think people are going to be blown away the 23rd when you and John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band come to Florida Theater, put on a show. You're gonna do all the hits, doing all the hits.
Oh yeah,
all right.
all the hits, and we even go back. We have a fantastic female vocalist in the band, and we even go back and do a couple of the Airplane classics like White Rabbit, Somebody to Love that Chelsea sings. And, obviously the audience loves that. And, of course, Fooled Around and Fell in Love, I put that in the show every night because that's still one of my favorite songs to sing of all time. So,
that's such a great song.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing it all.
It's so good, man. Well, I look forward to the show, and I could talk to you all day because I'm just so curious about everything. But I know you got to go, and I gotta unfortunately, got to do some work too. So thank you so much, Mickey Thank you for joining me, and thanks for coming to town. And we'll see you in a couple of days here.
Thanks, man. I'm looking forward to it. As I said, it's going to be a very special night for me.